Yeah, I met the Flash. Like everybody else has ever met him. I thought he was an unbearable
black hole of snaps.
I'm so sick of that rumor.
It's not a rumor.
What?
Hey everybody, it's Hannah Saulic, the head of video here at Cinema Blend with Sean O'Connell, our managing editor. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm wonderful, my friend. Good to be with you. We have some exciting things happening, especially over Super Bowl Sunday, so let's get into it.
So what we're gonna do for this video ahead of the Flash trailer is just run through some of the spicy rumors that have been circulating about the Flash.
Spicy.
Because as I'm sure everyone watching this knows, there's been a lot of discussion over whether or not things have been changed with the ending and all this other stuff. So I'm basically, Sean, gonna present to you a few rumors that I found digging around
all over the internet.
And then you're gonna tell me if you think they could be true or not.
Come on, let's get nuts.
That's a good idea, Hannah, because the best place to find factual evidence is the internet.
On Reddit boards.
Yes.
I'm a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter.
So first up, Grace Randolph has said that James Gunn has instructed them to strip out all of the character teases at the end of The Flash, which would include character teases for Sasha Calle's Supergirl, Michael Keaton's Batman, Henry Cavill's cameo, Gal Gadot's cameo, etc. Do you think this is true? What are your thoughts?
I think half of that might be true, to be honest with you. I don't think you could pull Sasha Calle or Michael Keaton out of the story without it drastically affecting what Andy Muschietti.
Well, yeah, so she, I think,
filmed.
is saying just the ending is what got changed that would like tease those characters. Because like
continuing?
Yeah, because I'm assuming they must have at some point had some sort of setup for Batgirl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, possibly. See, I was under the impression that the appearances by Cavill and Gal Gadot would be maybe as Barry was bouncing from multiverse to multiverse, might have just stopped in and seen them kind of thing.
Dostoevsky.
And if anything, maybe Gunn had them pull that kind of stuff, because if you have no intention of continuing with those versions of the characters, then why even include it? And maybe it was just like it's similar to like Cavill showing up in the end credit sequence of Black Adam. Like you didn't need it. It didn't forward the story forward. It was really just a, hey, look who we got kind of thing.
The story is smoke.
But I think Sasha Calle is Supergirl and Michael Keaton's Batman are still significant parts of the story. So if anything got pulled, it would have been, like you said, yeah, footage that set up, hey, this is where we might see these characters later if they were to continue on in the story.
Because you never know what's going to happen in this city. I mean, oh my God. Right?
A big question, and I think why this is bothering some fans, is like they want to know, is Sasha Calle's Supergirl the Supergirl that's going to be in James Gunn's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow? Which, you know, if the Flash is resetting, maybe not.
You never know what might happen to a frail young thing like that.
What? Honestly, I do think it's really just they want to find out how fans think she is in the part, and if they love her, you know, then you could immediately be like, great, because we have this Supergirl movie coming out that Andy Muschietti's going to direct. And it won't be your Flash sequel, but we're going to continue on with the power of love. But I bet you're right. I bet the Keaton stuff was going to end and tease the Batgirl stuff.
Next rumor, this is a fun one that I had not heard before you sent this to me. The rumor was that there was a post-credit scene in an early version of The Flash that some people speculated set up Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. So this is from Fandom Wire, and it was 5 months ago that this was written. And it says, a few months ago, some rumors and reports pointed to how Ben Affleck's Batman will be featured in The Flash's post-credit scene. In the scene, the Snyderverse Cape Crusader is set to find himself flung into the future. At that point, he calls for the Flash that belongs to his timeline, requesting the Scarlet Speedster, this is very wordy, to come find him. Furthermore, inside sources affirmed that Ben Affleck's superhero will be shown in the Knightmare realm. Many assume this revelation will kickstart the highly anticipated Justice League 2. What do you think? Do you think that was ever a thing that existed?
No. Never.
In your dreams, Alfred.
You have to assume that this movie was being made under the old regime. It's not part of what James Gunn has adopted, and we all know
it was in production after Zack Snyder's Justice League premiered on HBO Max. I'm just devil's advocating here.
No.
Go?
Let me say it again one more time. No.
I don't understand.
Are you sure?
Hold on, wait. No.
Take that as a yes.
There was no way that they were going to continue doing that because, again, it's a give a mouse a cookie situation. Why would you give any bit of bait, hope, a beam of light to the Snyderverse fandom that desperately wants that story to continue? And rightfully so. They are more than welcome to want to see how that story continues. But if Warner Brothers truly decided to include an end credit sequence that teased the possibility of that happening, that's legitimately cruel, evil, and you should be thrown in jail for doing something like that, because it is trolling a fan base that has already proven to you over the years multiple times that they don't want to be told that kind of thing. And so I actually don't think the studio's that mean.
I'm your best friend.
What if, okay, so you know how you were talking about earlier, like you thought Henry Cavill's Superman could appear as like flashes bopping around the multiverse?
Yeah.
Because the Knightmare timeline does exist in what is technically the DCEU canon with Batman versus Superman, do you think there's a potential where in the movie that could be something that's visited, or do you just think like, no?
It could, yeah. And actually, a cool thing to do would be to have the Ezra Miller of this movie encountering the Ezra Miller futuristic Knightmare version, where that suit of armor, they have that suit of armor on kind of thing. So what if those two came together face to face? I would love to see that happen. And it would be a really nice nod, because I know Muschietti and Snyder get along well. They respect each other. And it would be a good way for him to at least reference, like, thank you, Zack, for what you did. You did cast Ezra in the part. You're sort of building off of the world that they were in.
Thanks, Dad.
By introducing the multiverse, you have the ability to do a ton of really cool, fun stuff like that. And it doesn't have to really affect the plot. You could just have Flash running through sequences that we as DC fans could point to and be like, oh my God, look at that. That's kind of cool that he's in there. And he just
like
keeps
Easter
moving
eggs,
through
yeah.
it. Yeah, why not?
Oh gosh, yes, yes.
But just wait one more time. So there's no post-credit scene setting up Zack Snyder's Justice League 2.
I'm not gonna drink it.
All right, third rumor is that Christian Bale is returning as Batman for a cameo. And so people got this from Grace Randolph. And she said, I heard they're filming a special cameo with a character from a long time ago in the DC world. So I think that's gonna emphasize that Barry can go wherever he wants. What do you think?
I think that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
Really?
And I think you have a better chance of
less
seeing...
ridiculous than setting up Zack Snyder's Justice League 2.
More. I think actually more. Because there are no threads that connect to the Nolan universe at all.
Well, I think that's the point, is they're trying to be like, he can go anywhere, wherever, just to sort of make it a non-serious thing.
This is some Spider-Man No Way Home bullshit. This is like, oh, you got to get all the Spider-Men together, so why don't we also get all the Batman together?
The time is past.
There's no way Christian Bale is coming back to play Batman.
You're afraid that if I go back out there, I'll fail.
Bale has said repeatedly in interviews he would be interested in possibly doing it if Nolan comes back.
Okay, I was gonna say he did say something recently, but yeah, that was looking
if
for what the condition
Nolan
was.
comes back, yes.
Do you
and
think
Nolan is
Nolan
not back.
directed?
No.
He doesn't like that.
All right, so I do understand what you're saying, that if you have Flash going over to what essentially amounts to the Tim Burton universe, because he's going to encounter Michael Keaton, then yes, he should be able to access the Christopher Nolan universe. But no, I think that is, we're finally pushing it too far.
Now we're talking.
The idea that you were already going to have Ben Affleck's Batman and Michael Keaton's Batman is enough. That's enough. Like, we don't need to overload. It's a Flash movie.
That's true. But I will say, like, if we're going along, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but if we're theorizing that there was a post-credit scene with Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot that is now scrapped, and potentially some other stuff setting up Sasha, Calle, and Michael Keaton that is now scrapped, like, maybe I could see a world in which they're trying to fill that hole and think of, like, what's something that's fun, that has no stakes, that isn't going to upset Snyderverse fans and make them think we're, you know, being cruel by teasing something or calling back to something that ultimately isn't going to exist. And I could see a logical way to do that would to include something from the Nolan Batman films, just because that is so outside of the DCEU of it all that it's just like, you clearly know as an audience member, like, oh, this is just for fun.
Why so serious?
But you're right in that I don't see Christian Bale doing that. I don't see Nolan being like, yeah, that sounds good. Not that, like, I don't know that he would even really have control over that anymore. But so I guess my question is, do you see like any other character from the past or actor or anything that could work within this theory of just what Grace Randolph is saying, of having just someone from a long time ago pop up to show that he can go anywhere?
Here are two things that I think could potentially happen. Because I like that you're being an optimist in this instance.
I'm just speculating.
So they could either use existing footage of Christian Bale as Batman. Because I don't see him coming back and putting the suit on. I honestly do not see him coming in and filming additional scenes as Batman. Also don't think they would have been able to keep that secret.
Well, yes, but also...
If they're really smart and they want to show how the Flash can go to any location that they want to go to, they would film something with Pattinson. Do I see that happening? No.
So, okay, because we're about to shift and get out of end credits, because all of this has kind of been end credits focused, but what do you think they do for end credits then? If they're not teasing anything, if it is a reset, if we're not showing anybody, do you think they just pull like a Birds of Prey? Like, you still sitting here? And just don't
here's a novel concept. They don't do anything. They end the movie.
What?
Wouldn't that be great? DC is not known for its end credits. And so far, their end credits have been stupid.
I feel stung by that.
There wasn't a Man of Steel end credit. There wasn't a BVS end credits, was there? I don't think so.
Yes.
Hold, please.
There's no end credit scene in BVS Ultimate Edition.
Okay, so that's just the end of the movie.
Credits roll and we end the movie, like, you know, movies used
to. But they were like teasing what was going to happen.
Correct.
Wait, is that true? Because I thought that like the dirt.
I'm scrubbing through.
I'm a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter.
Okay.
Yeah, because it goes Luthor and then we go back to the grave where dirt starts rising. Credits. Yep.
For all intents and purposes, however, though, those are end credit scenes. You know, they legit, like the end of the movie is the dirt rising. And then the other two scenes are teasing out movies that never happened. So I bet you The Flash has a clean, brisk ending, and we all head out into the theater talking about how that was the greatest superhero movie that we ever saw.
And then something about you having to take us all to brunch?
Big round table.
And it doesn't tease anything else to come, because the next movie is Blue Beetle, and then it's Aquaman 2, and neither of them are connected to anything. And then the slate gets wiped clean by Superman Legacy.
Yes, that's a whole other video, because I have thoughts. But okay.
Yes, exactly.
I don't think I agree with you, but okay.
Next up.
Okay. This is a little bit more alluding to some larger theories that I don't want to get into because that's going to be a separate video. But the rumor is that despite what Peter Safran said about working with Ezra Miller and keeping that door open, the rumor is that The Flash is definitively the last time we will see Ezra Miller's version of the character. The way that I see this is just basically that, you know, The Flash is coming out. They're not going to make any sort of announcement that definitively says anything about that character, because then people won't go see the movie. Like, you have to be vague and you have to promote that movie and be conscious of that. And you can't fully tell people, like, because if they were to have said, like, yeah, no, we're going to recast The Flash and Ezra Miller's not moving forward in the DCU, no one's going to go see The Flash. People are going to be upset. That's going to completely overshadow any of the marketing that they try to do, at least with, like, the core DC fan base. So my theory is that they've kind of said, like, this is great, thanks, but no. And we'll tell y'all that after Superman Legacy comes out.
That seems likely, but I think they're also leaving the door open to continuing if, again, people love Ezra Miller in the part. If the audiences respond to this movie, and if and often studios don't know what they have. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've been told by a studio rep that they think the movie they're about to put out is bad. And then it comes out and it plays great and everyone's super surprised.
Wow, this is awesome.
So I think that they really don't know. And it'll be interesting to see Ezra Miller's Barry Allen outside of Snyder's hands.
Yeah. Or just outside of like a team element, because we haven't seen him just on his own.
Very true. And so I want to see how that comes together. Them carrying a movie is going to be fascinating, because if it works really, really well, then James Gunn is one step ahead of the game in that they can incorporate Ezra Miller into, as the Flash into some other type of story moving forward without having to give them a Flash movie specifically. However, at the same time, if nobody responds to the movie and it doesn't say it does Black Adam numbers, like I don't think it's going to do Black Adam numbers, but that box office efficiently killed The Rock's vision of the character. And if that movie made $1 billion, if it did Matt Reeves type money, then I think James Gunn would be figuring out, like, how do we keep working with The Rock? How do we incorporate that character into what we're trying to do? Because the audiences really, really loved him in that character.
But here's another wrinkle. There's a lot of stuff going on with Ezra Miller's personal life that could be risky from just a business perspective as far as investing in them on the screen for 10 to 15 years or whatever James Gunn said they're trying to get contracts for actors for. Do you think that there's a world in which they just say, like, even though that did great, that is what it is, we're closing the book and we're going to try to recreate something because that's not worth the risk or the controversy that's attached? Or do you think it's all about box office?
No, that's fully possible. But the film industry has a history of not necessarily caring whether you are good or bad off screen.
Other breaking news. Water. Wet.
So I think that, and again, this sounds very cynical, but I think if the movie makes a ton of money, Warner Brothers would absolutely consider moving forward with Ezra Miller playing the Flash for the future. But if it doesn't, they have worked themselves into a position where they, since they're soft rebooting everything from Superman Legacy forward, would have the ability to recast the character if they wanted to.
All right. Okay, so this is my...
That's not helping. I'm sorry.
I'm used to it.
Okay, this last rumor is, you're gonna be like, no. The rumor is that the Flash movie might not even be released. And so context for this, just when all the Ezra Miller stuff broke and before James Gunn came in as the head of the new DC studios, there was a lot of talk of, well, they just canceled Batgirl, maybe they'll cancel The Flash. And clearly that has not been the message that's been put forward in recent months. But a podcast I listened to called X-Ray Vision, which is great. A couple of the hosts are still saying still feel like it's not going to come out. Like, I don't believe that it's going to come out. I think obviously some of that is rooted in just joke, but what do you think? Do you think there's any world?
How many alternate timelines?
In which Warner Brothers says, nope, we're not releasing this.
Okay, so I think that there was a world in which that was the case. And they had ample opportunity to essentially say, hey, the rest of the movies are going to go to HBO Max and we'll see you guys in 2025, Yeah. But Gunn coming out and saying during his presentation, going out of his way to single out The Flash and saying, it's amazing, I can't wait for you guys to see it, kills that rumor right off the bat. If it goes to show that they're excited for it, it goes to show that Warner Brothers thinks that they can make some money off of it.
Let's put our cards on the table here, General.
I think they pushed all their chips onto the board. The Flash has a prime summer spot.
Big event, Super Bowl trailer.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not spending.
They're not shying away from it.
I think it's $7 million or $8 million for a 30-second spot or at the Super Bowl. So they're not dropping that for a movie that they're about to unplug.
All right, well, that's all the rumors that I got, but maybe we'll have some more after the Flash trailer on Sunday.
Yeah, I feel like I shot down a lot of them. I want to be more...
Don't get high-spirited on me.
I want to be more positive, and we will be more positive once we get a chance to see this trailer. So I expect, Hannah, we're going to make another video, an analysis video, based on everything that we see?
Yes, we will probably be back on Monday, because Sunday, Sean will be out of town, so we won't be able to do an in the moment sort of reaction as we try to do. But we will be back Monday with some takeaways. So if you guys have any questions or thoughts or anything you want us to explore after you watch the trailer, leave a comment on this video and I will check them before we record.
And hit subscribe before you disappear. We want to make sure you guys see all of our videos every single time that they go up.
Wait, are you guys still here? Wow. Crazy. There's no way in hell that Sean watches the video this long, so I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Did you guys know that Sean